Okay, so this is Trading Spaces, designing a virtual learning space. I actually did this presentation for Hawks last spring or summer, I can't remember exactly, and had a really good turnout. And this is kind of stuff that I covered then, but also some new stuff. My idea is to kind of talk about my journey once we had to move from face-to-face classes to online. And what I've been working on now is to kind of try to do something that will work as we ease our way back to some face-to-face at least. So again, my name's Becki Streett, and I will get started. The first thing I want you guys to do is to tell me about, let's do a little Menti poll. I want to know how you feel, because for me, most of my students, at the end of spring last year, when we first went online, everything was kind of crazy. This summer, I had pretty good engagement. This fall, though, it started to kind of wane. I think people are having like true Zoom fatigue, which I am as well. I'm sure you guys are. I appreciate you being here, even though we have that. So if you wouldn't mind, would you go to menti.com on your phone or on your computer and enter this code and tell me kind of how engaged you feel like your students are right now. And the code is 99722237, and it's Menti, MENTI.com. Sorry. And I'll share the poll. If you've never used Menti before, it's so much fun. My students love it. We do a Menti poll question every week on kind of a hard problem that we're dealing with, and I cannot recommend it enough. So let me share. I've got lots of answers so far. Let me share the screen for the Menti poll, which is right here. I hope you guys can see this. So you guys, it looks like you guys are about where I am. 7% said people are not very engaged right now. I'm sorry, 7 people said that. 18 people said so-so, and no one said very. And so obviously our goal is to get to the very, but I don't know if we will ever get there. Again, if you haven't used Menti, I would suggest that it's free. Warning though, it's like anything. It's like anything that is free, you know, if you're not paying for it, then you are the product or whatever they say, but it really is fun. So glad to see you guys are kind of in the same situation, or maybe not glad, but we can all sympathize with each other. So that was kind of my goal, is to figure out, sorry, I keep switching screens. Okay, my goal is to kind of figure out how to use different technology that's out there to engage students and try to keep them awake during Zoom classes, and also kind of keep them organized, since they don't literally walk into my class every week and I can hand them things, right? They certainly don't read my emails. So this is kind of what I've been working on so far, and I'm hoping that at the end you guys can share your ideas, what's worked and hasn't worked, because I would love to know that. Good question. Someone asked how many students can use Mentimeter. You know, I've never done it for a class bigger than 35. So I cannot answer that. That's a good question. For those of you who teach really big classes, I'm not sure what the upper limit is. Oops, okay, now. Okay, so this is kind of what I talked before. Trying to learn when you're sitting in front of a computer screen all day is tedious. And so I kind of want to figure out what we can do to keep students engaged, to keep things organized, and to kind of make them feel like they're part of the process. And so what I finally did at the beginning of this semester, after having very bored students, I'll admit, at the end of fall semester, was I asked my students, what kind of things will keep you awake, will keep you interested? What kind of like little incentives that aren't even worth points even will kind of keep you going? And so I shared some things that I'd done in other classes, and they kind of gave me some ideas. And so this is an example of some things we do. We share things on Padlet all the time, and I'll show you that idea in a minute. One of the things on Padlet that we do is we make a class playlist, and it's super easy. Students can upload as many songs as they want, and I ask them to do the clean versions on YouTube, and for the most part, they're pretty good about doing that. I can easily delete any songs that don't have the clean version in case I don't want anyone to be offended. But with that, then we have people can DJ of the day. And I don't play music during my whole class. I teach math, so obviously not. But the DJ at the beginning of class, before class starts, they get to pick the songs. And then sometimes I will give them a problem that takes a couple of minutes to work and just say, okay, you guys have one song individually on a piece of paper to try to solve this problem. And the DJ will get to play the song while they're doing it. It sounds kind of goofy, but you would not believe how much students love that. It kind of keeps up the energy, and you can kind of tell that people, different students, different personalities. Had one student who we all teased a lot because she plays like the saddest, slowest songs, and it was very hard to like keep up our energy, but she had earned it. So the DJ spot, so we let her go with it. We also have dance breaks, which is something I was very dubious about when one of my students suggested it, but basically about halfway through the class, I'll say, okay, get up, go get a snack, whatever you need to do. And the DJ will play music and students start dancing in front of Zoom. And it's so funny because obviously some students would just sit there with their arms crossed and they were having none of it. But by this time of the semester, even my most, the least dancey type students are like, we'll do this at least, and everyone claps for them. So it's kind of been fun. It keeps up the morale and students get to know each other. They also love polls. Like I said, Mentimeter, they want me to do those all the time. And I even let students sometimes pick out which gifts to use with each of the things, like on the Mentimeter we just had. Image of the week, I'll show you in a minute. My class slide deck, you can win the thing to let me feature your animal. So for instance, this actually dog right here is super cute. It's not one of my students. It's just something I got off the internet, but they'll send me a picture of their animal or whatever. And I will like remove the background, sometimes turn it into a GIF and then add it to the slide decks. And they love that when they get featured on it. And also for those students who are kind of big into gaming, a lot of students don't care about this part of it at all, but it's turned out fun. At the beginning of the semester, we created badges, different ideas, like we have the human calculator or the teacher's pet, whatever it is. And at the end of class, we always take a minute or two and students in the chat will nominate whoever they think deserves that badge. And so it's just a goofy thing. These are kind of goofy small things to do that I've found really, really help and are a lot of fun. So basically what I've kind of tried to do since last spring, I started with Google Slides, and I'll show you those in a minute, but I've kind of tried to incorporate those with some simple gamification techniques, kind of like the badges, and a lot of times with projects, students get to choose which role they're playing. Are they the TV reporter or the contractor? Kind of like that. And then also using these audience engagement platforms like Padlet and Mentimeter. And there's so many, I'm sure you guys know a lot of great ones too. I'm curious to know which ones you guys would recommend. But so where I've kind of landed is here. And again, it's a work in progress, but this is the class slide deck. They get this, the first one, and I'll go into more detail in a minute, but the first one we call like the class supply cabinet. And all of those little squares they click on and they immediately get to the class calendar or the syllabus or information about me. There's one that takes them to a good online graphing calculator. There's one that takes them to Khan Academy, but that is there. So that comes with every slide deck each week. It stays the same. Occasionally I'll update it if we add something new or we had a great idea. And then the other thing that comes on this deck, it's usually just 2 slides, is what you see in the second one. And that's kind of the weekly to-do list. And it's super easy to update this each week. I just have to change a couple things. And I've noticed that I get a lot less questions about what's going on because students will glance at the slide deck and kind of take in a little bit more. They seem to do that way more than if I send out an email. They never read any word in my email. I don't know if it's because it has colors and pictures, but I've gotten a lot better response from just having like this quick to-do list that they can see each week. And we'll kind of dive into that more. The other thing that I use Google Slides for and that I think are amazing are, this for instance is a project that I do in my mathematical reasoning course. And in this one, this is just one little slide, but it has all the information they need with links to get to everything. And it's just an easy way to give them all the information they need. It's engaging when you click on different things, but I love using these. I use these for a lot of things. Okay, so here's just a couple things. I'm not going to read all of these to you, but one thing that I think is an advantage of Google Slides over PowerPoint is that you can download them as a PDF and just share those easily. So students, it has the hyperlinks throughout it. It's great. I post mine on WebAssign or Hawks, and I post it on our LMS also I send it in email form, and then I also send the slide form. So that's really great. And it's also kind of a one-stop shop. Everything they need is on that. And so students aren't asking me, wait, do you have another copy of the syllabus or whatever? It's all there and they know it. And it's kind of re-sparked my joy for teaching. It's really fun, especially when I get the students involved and ask what kind of gifts they want or memes or whatever to put on there. I have a lot more people actually come to my office hours. It's all online right now, but I've been shocked because it's just one click away. And so students do that. I have a lot more engagement. I don't think I've gotten, literally since this summer, I don't think I've gotten a single email from students saying, when is something due or where do I find? Because it's all on there. And also because there's a direct link to things like my math, or to our math lab at our university and Khan Academy and stuff. Students have reported at the end of last semester and this summer that they actually use those a lot more because they didn't have to go digging around to find it. So I think those are some pretty great reasons to use it. So let's kind of unpack it. This is what I was telling you about. This they got at the very beginning of the semester. In fact, as students start enrolling in my class, I will email them this and ask them to just kind of explore and see what they find. And it's a lot of fun because it really does have all sorts of information. When they click on Toolkit, it will take them to, you know, how to get started, kind of getting the course ready. A lot of these are super obvious. There's a click directly for the Zoom class, so they don't have to figure out where the link is or go to a calendar or anything. Same with my office hours. There's tips. There's fun things like our class playlist. Let me show you this. See if it'll populate. This is our class playlist that I was talking about, and this is on Padlet, and it's just at the beginning of the semester, I asked them to upload songs they like and the clean version. And so this is kind of what we use for our DJ. They'll use these songs, but it's kind of fun and people will comment on each other's songs. So that's, they can always go to for that. And then we also, this one I just started a couple days ago with my students, so it's not very populated yet. But another way we use Padlet is before our test, for instance, we're about to have our midterm test. And so this is share some happiness. And students will post a photo of them or their dogs or a video they like, songs they like. It's just kind of a fun way to be interactive and people will comment back and forth. That we have create your own avatar. I have students that will use this template, and only those that want to, but if they want to create their own avatar, they'll put their picture or a picture of their animal, or people have done drawings, whatever they want in the middle of it. And some students will even put their avatar in their background, their Zoom background, and then as they earn the badges, they will upload the badges to it. So it's really cute and fun. That's kind of what they get. And I don't change this very often, this part of it. But what I do change every week is this part, where this is an example of a to-do list, I guess, a couple of weeks ago for a class. And it's always basically has the same information, just as the weeks change. I always try to do a little picture of 2 weeks worth of the calendar, though they can click on it and get the whole semester calendar. There are links to everything they need. If they click on the calculator, it goes to a graphing calculator. If they click on the boombox, it goes to their playlist. This time the happy thoughts, that takes them to those, what makes them happy. And then just the assignments. Each week we do a Menti poll. And so like, at the end of 1 week, I'll ask them kind of a mathematical question, and they know when they get the code to the new Menti poll, they'll go in and answer it before class on Monday. And then we'll look at everyone's answers and decide, okay, well, it looks like 70% of you voted for this answer, and ask someone who voted for that answer to share why they picked that one, and then see if we can get people to share from others. And it's very interactive and fun, and they actually really enjoy it. In fact, they'd rather do Menti polls more than, actual lectures. So that happens a lot. This is something I created for you guys. I'll share these slides with you. If you are interested in using Google Slides or any of these kind of apps and stuff, this has links to everything from how to create your own Bitmoji, so that if you want to put your picture or your cartoon character on these, how to find free Google images, how to upload your own images, etc. So this is something I want to share with you guys. And then I thought what we do is kind of go through and try to build one, if you guys give me suggestions of things you like, so that I can kind of show you how this works if you're interested. So before I do that though, let me look at the questions. Oh, I'll show you how to make the slide decks in a minute. Someone asked me that. And we use Blackboard, we use Blackboard for our LMS, but you can use any, you can, since you can upload this as a PDF, you basically can put it on any learning system or anything where you can post things. So for instance, if you use like Hawks Learning and you can post your calendar on that actual system, then you can do your slide deck there as well. I email it to my students every week. In fact, I'll be honest, our university uses Blackboard and we are officially required to have some presence on Blackboard. And all I do on Blackboard is write, we are not using Blackboard, use your UALR, which is where I teach, use that email because I use everything through my slide decks, but I think it'll work with any of these. Okay, so let me get out of this mode real quick. I'm gonna quit sharing. And I hope in the chat, you guys will give me some ideas of what interests you, like what you might want to see as we create our own slide deck. And it can be for anything. We could do it for like a project, or if you wanted to try to see how to make one. I made one at Christmas to send family with pictures of my kids and all sorts of stuff. You can use it for a lot of different things, but let me go to just the normal, this screen again, and let me get out of presentation mode. Okay, so now hopefully you guys can see just a normal screen. So the idea here, if you have Google Suite with your school or whatever, then you can find it there. Let me start from the very beginning. I'm going to go to my email real quick. And you can set up a free one of these too, even if you don't have Gmail with your school. If you go to the Google app site, then you'll see slides and it's right here. And let's just start with a blank one. And when you start with a blank one, you kind of land right here where you see just a normal thing. You can pick their little themes and stuff. I'm too much a control freak. I like to pick my own stuff, but you certainly can start with those. But what I usually do is the first thing I do is just do a box over both of those and push delete because I don't want to deal with any of their boxes or anything. So can someone give me, I'm going to try to see if I can see the chat right here. Can someone give me an idea for what we might want to post up here? Or what you might want to see an example for? Someone likes owls. Okay, want to do an owl? So let's say we're going to do whatever we're going to do. Let's talk about the background first. So if you click on background, here you could just choose your basic colors, and I use these a lot, but the other cool thing is you can go to choose image, and you could take a picture if you want. You could upload any of your photos, but you can also use this Google image search right here. And so let's say since we're going to do owls, let's do a forest. And again, it's just like a regular Google thing. And so if you click on any of these, for instance, I'm trying to find one that, you want one that doesn't have too much going on in the background so that you can still see what we're doing. Let's try this one. This looks pretty good. So you click on it and push insert and then done. And so then that's your background. And to add words, there are a lot of different ways. You can use a little text box and then it have lots of different great fonts. We could say, we love owls. And you can change the size, the color, all that normal stuff. But also what you can do is add fun things. Like let's say we want to insert an owl. How about that? So I'm going to go to insert image. And again, you can go search the web. And let's say we want to do an owl with a transparent background. And again, if you can get one, oops, I didn't spell that right, did I? If you can get a transparent background, that's the best because then he can fit, he won't see this idea. So then you can click on it and insert it. And he's there and you can make him as big or small as you want. And then you could do a little hyperlink, for instance. Let's say we want to link him to owl.com, which I'm just making up, but I'm assuming that's a thing. Yeah, it's at Purdue. Okay, so then when students click on that, they're going to be sent to your hyperlink. You can do Gifs as well. And let's see. Let's go back to insert image. Well, I'm going to do it. I want to do it a different way. Let's say I want to do a Google search for an owl GIF. Not GIFs, GIF. And this one looks pretty cute. Okay, he's way cute. And so what we could do is, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull him over here. And again, there you should set your Google search, and I have this in the little slide deck that I'll provide you guys. You should set it where you're looking for images that you're allowed to share non-commercially, like I'm not making money off of this or anything. And then something else that's on the slide deck is if you go to this unscreen.com, here is a really cool free site that you just pull over your GIF and it will remove the background. I'm big into removing all backgrounds once I have my own background. And so it's removed the background. It's not perfect at the bottom, but it's good enough. Then I'm going to download it. And let me move him to my desktop. Okay. So now that we did that, let me go back to our, where's our blank one here? I should be able to pull him over here. And so you can make anything that's already a GIF if you want to get rid of the background. I always suggest that you do that. It's a lot of fun. That's a good way to do it. There's also a site called Remove Background. Same idea. This is just for still images, not GIFs. And that's where it's kind of fun. So what I would do is, for instance, like if my student Susan, this is her dog in this Padlet, and say she asked me to take she wants to add her dog to the thing. So what I do is I'll just take a screenshot of it. And then I will save him. Sorry, I have so many things on my screen because of the chat and everything else. I will save him to my desktop. So he's there. Now what I can do is go to this place, pull him over. This is the remove one. So this isn't a GIF, this is just a solid picture, and download him. And then he'll be perfect for adding to our slideshow. So let me export him. No, I want to move him. Move to desktop. So I don't know if you guys have used these, if you're even interested. I can play a lot of times with just this part of it when not everyone has time for this, I know. Luckily, all three of my kids are now in college and not at home, so I have more time. But so then what we could do is, once we have him, oh no, what did I do with mine? Sorry, I got to go back to my slideshow. The new one that we just made. So yeah, and that's a good thing. You don't ever have to save it. All you do is just go back. He's right there. And so I can pull in the dog, for instance. And so then her dog can be featured for the week, and students love that. Now, let's see, what other questions are there? I'm trying to do so many things at once. Yes, it definitely is accessible for students with accommodations. On the slide on this one, right here, if you go to the yellow circle that says accessibility, kind of right under where I'm standing, that is a great thing that tells you how to do it. Like for all of these images, you can do descriptions. Sorry, my cat is something. You can do descriptions so that it'll say, for instance, this is an owl that's spinning its head or whatever. It has all sorts of great things. Google's worked pretty well, has worked pretty hard, and it keeps improving all the time for students that have learning differences or special needs. Another question, oh, which program do you use to create GIFs? Yes, and I'm sharing this whole slideshow with you, so you guys can click on any of these. It kind of takes you through. Also, YouTube, there are so many people on YouTube who are amazing at this, way better than I am, for instance, and I have some links to some really good YouTube videos that are short and we'll show you. But yeah, for making a GIF, let's say we want to make her dog into a GIF. If you go to this place, and again, I have a thing here, this is called Giphy. It's free, and you probably, a lot of the GIFs that you see around were made on Giphy. And all you do is you can slide your dog here, and then you can add words if you want. You can add stickers, like say we want to add the heart sticker to him. And then you can go to filters and do things. This is kind of fun. Like if you do, you can do the glitch, or the rainbow's fun. What's the other one I like? I like this one that's kind of like VHS. And so you can make GIFs of anything. Now, these aren't as good as the ones that dance and stuff. Those are kind of above my level of expertise, but this is a fun one to play with too. And so then you just click upload, you can upload it, and then just pull it over and keep it. I'm amazed. It seems like every time I find something new, I think, oh, this is so cool. And then next time I look at a video on YouTube, someone's figured out something even cooler. But yeah, so you can do, yeah, okay. And then here's, here's one more step. So we made this Giphy. Let's say we want him to have no background. So I'm going to delete him, and I'm going to go to this unscreen, which again, I have all of this on the thing, so don't worry about trying to remember it. So unscreen, let's try to get rid of his background. Oh shoot, I didn't save it right. Oh no, it's this one, sorry. Then you can download that. So you can like start from a picture, take out its background, turn it into a GIF, and then take out the background's GIF. Now this one, I'm not super happy with it because I don't know if you guys can see that the heart is kind of wonky. So you can kind of fix that. They let you edit it a little bit too, but that's also a very fun place to go. Is there a reason you download? Yeah, exactly. Okay, so someone asked, is there a reason to do PDFs? The reason I do PDFs, and to me this seems insane, is it only came from students asking. I have several students that are older students, and they always want to print them off. I don't know why, because once you print it, you don't, you know, you can't use the hyperlinks, and you certainly don't have any movement or GIFs on there. But that's really the only reason I do it as PDF. I always share it as a Google slide, and because of the accessibility thing especially. That's a very good question. Okay, any other questions about things you'd like to add or see done to this? Like I said, I don't know if you guys are in chat. I can't see anything in chat, so.
I don't see any other chats right now. Just a quick heads up.
Okay. So this I would encourage you to play with. Oh, the other thing I was going to show you is once you create a Bitmoji, if you want. I have one coworker who does. My idea was, because students aren't seeing me face to face. I mean, they do see me on Zoom, but they don't have that same interaction that they do face to face. I kind of want to have something identifiable, so I do Bitmoji. A lot of people think it's goofy, and it kind of is, but I have one professor in my department who uses a picture of his cat for everything, but just kind of have something to kind of identify with is fun, and students love that too. But once you get to create your Bitmoji, I don't know if you can see in this top right-hand corner of the screen, there's this little Bitmoji thing, and if you click on that, you can, let's say I want to do happy. It'll give you several things, and you can literally just click these over. They're usually pretty big. But you can click your little character on. And what's fun about Google Slides, a couple different things. You can animate it. So it's not animated in that it'll move certain ways, but what you can have it do is, let's see what we want to do. You can have it fly in from the right. Well, let's do from the left, for instance. And so when you play it, if you click, then your person flies in. So you can do some really simple animation on here. You can also do slide transitions. So I don't know if you guys noticed before when I was doing it, mine was kind of like a cube as you change from slide to slide. You can change your transition to all different things. It has lots of fun things, kind of like PowerPoint as well. But I would encourage you guys to play with that. Okay, then the other thing I was going to show you again. Yeah, okay, so this is what someone's saying. This looks pretty good. How long does it take? For me, well, I've done it so much, it doesn't take me very long at all, but the learning curve's pretty quick. And as long as you don't want, you know, you're not asking for too much crazy stuff, I think you could build a slide pretty quickly. Just play with it, because you can start with just a regular blue background if you want, and just do all words and maybe put 1 or 2 pictures. But I think if you played with it, you'd be surprised. It's not that hard. My problem is, once I get a slide looking good, then I have to keep going back and back, because I just am never happy with how it looks totally. So I spend way much more time than you probably need to. And as far as doing this Bitmoji on the slideshow that I had for you guys, that one has a little thing that tells you exactly how to do your Bitmoji, and you can do the extension so it appears on your computer and stuff. And it's kind of fun to do. And also when you do that, then you can include those at the bottom of your emails, which I always do to my students too. I kind of try to brand myself in a way that way. Let's see. Good question. Does your college own your creative work? I'm assuming they probably do because I do this through the Google Suites with my university address. I know there is someone I work with in the English department, and hers is kind of a totally different, for different reasons, but she has her own Google Suites just in her own Gmail address and does everything through that. So no one technically owns it. But yeah, that probably might be an issue. I'm not sure. Yes, you can switch PowerPoint into Google Slides and then edit it for sure. And that's what a lot of people have done that I've worked with at my university. They have a lot of PowerPoints that they've had forever. And we've switched it over to, if you just look on when you're at a PowerPoint and say export as, you should have the option of Google Slides. I don't think there's a special extension you have to have for that, but I'm not sure, but it is possible to do. And then you can go from there. So if you already have a lot of PowerPoints that you like, you could always kind of spruce them up a little bit. I love PowerPoint too, but I've kind of been converted to Google Slides. I think there's some more fun things you could do. Okay, let me show you another thing too. I don't know if you guys have used Padlet before, but Padlet is really fun. Padlet.com. You can set up a free account and then you can just create a Padlet. And when you create a Padlet, there's all sorts of things you can do. I have one, a woman that I work with in the anthropology department, and all of her lectures and lessons are set up on Padlet with her timelines, and you can do hyperlinks and stuff. It's really fun. I usually just do simple ones, as you can see here. I just have right now my class playlist and the happiness thing. But I would encourage you to look at that if you haven't, because for whatever reason, students love it. And it's a great place to do a class playlist. I also went to a presentation last summer where one professor had her students, I forgot what she called it, but like check out my crib, I think. And she would have students just with their phone do like a 1-minute video of their workplace or their desktop or whatever. Here's where I spend most of my time when I'm at, working on school. And so they can share those videos where students can introduce each other or show off their animals. It's really, really fun. And then the other one that we kind of did with the Menti poll, if you go to mentimeter.com, that's the main one. This is where you can set up a free account and do your presentations. Like here's one that we did for my students at the beginning of the semester, where they talked about, I gave them this problem to think about over the weekend with different things, and they had to decide if this enclosure for an animal was big enough and strong enough. And so it's a very fun thing to use too, and students love it. So do you guys have any other questions or anything else you'd like me to show you or work on?
I was going to say, we do have about 10 minutes or so as well, if anyone has any additional questions.
Yeah, I'm happy to walk through any of it.
Definitely. I know there's a question about the learning curve. I think you made it look very simple, so.
And what I use a lot, I have so many photos on my phone from places that we go all the time, and usually I never even look at those, but sometimes if you go and look, you can find lots of fun photos to include in your Google Slides. They're super easy to do. And for me, like if I want to put a desk in my Google Slide, I'll just go take a picture of a desk in my house or a calculator. Like I wasn't sure if I could show the TI calculator exactly if I stole it from online, so I just took a picture of my own calculator. I'm assuming that's okay. So I would encourage you to look through all of the photos that you do have. You might be surprised, and ask your students for photos and ideas. They love being featured on them.
Awesome. And then actually I just noticed 2 more questions actually.
Okay.
Chat. The first one is just, how do you access Bitmoji? And then,
okay, so
yeah, I'll let you go on that one first.
Yeah. So let me go to, let me just share my whole screen. Sorry, this is going to be like information overload when you see my whole screen. But okay, so for the Bitmoji link, right here. I'm just using my own slide. And the good thing too is once you have all of these, like I can find links to everything because I've included them on some Google Slides somewhere. So here, where's the Bitmoji link? Oh, right here. So this
Perfect.
tells you in detail. This is for Chrome, but you can use it for anything. And it takes you step by step. You just go to this site, and again, it'll be on the slideshow, and it will help you do it. I mean, you can create a Bitmoji on your phone and use that, but if you do one on your laptop or desktop, then you have that right there to automatically go for these. So this extension, if you look at the Chrome web store, whatever browser you're using, if you look at their web stores, it's free, the extension, and it will help you create it.
Awesome. Thank you for that. I did notice if someone mentioned in the chat, if you wouldn't mind just kind of pasting those links in so they can just easily quickly access them.
Yeah, in fact, let me do something real quick. I am going to share my share that slideshow with you guys.
Perfect. And I know we're getting closer to our time limit, but there was a couple more questions that did pop into the Q&A as well. So
yeah, you ask anything while I'm doing this.
okay, perfect. Just how to upload a link into the Google slide. That was one of the last questions I saw come by.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, I'll show that. Okay, let me put this in the
As you're doing that, I just want to tell everyone that just as a reminder that you guys will be able to access the recording to this later on as well too.
Okay, so if you click on the link in the chat, hopefully that will take you to that Google slide, which has everything because there's so many different things. But if anyone cannot access it, let me know real quick. Hopefully I did that right, because it's in my Google Drive and I want to make sure that it's shareable with everybody. Okay, and then how do I link something? Ask that question again, Brian, sorry.
It says, how do you upload the link to the Google slide?
Okay, so that's a good question. Let me share my screen again and go to this. I'm sorry. I have a million things going on. Can you guys see?
Yeah, we can.
Sorry. Okay, so I'm done sharing it. So let me just go to here. So let's say I want to upload a link to a slide. So yeah. So if I wanted to link this image on the slide, is that the question, for instance?
It's a little vague. It just says, so how do you upload the link to a Google slide? So
okay. So you can there are a couple ways to do it. You could, for instance, do just a word. And so I try on my slides for my students to have both words and images, because some students like to use the words and some people like to use the images. So let's say I wanted to do this word time. You do this little thing that's looks like a paper clip, and you would add whatever. So I'll just use the last thing I did, that link, and apply, and it'll come underlined now. So students will know I don't like everything to change color, so I change it back. But you can tell students, okay, anything that's underlined will now have a link. Or you can do it with images. For instance, this image, I could do the same thing. You click on the little paper clip and you paste in whatever you want, a website. You can even paste in your email address and push apply. And so then it is linked as well, if that was the question.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that. And then
sure.
Another question about grading, and they're just asking if you grade the post or the Mentimeter questions that you use with your students.
No, none of that is grading. I've tried it different ways, and a lot of times I get less response, or it's less effective when I grade those. I don't grade any of that. It's all optional. And the other thing, like especially with something like Padlet or Mentimeter, it is kind of, if you saw the movie Social Dilemma, there are some issues with using free places like that some people don't want to share any information about themselves, which I don't blame them. And so I never would want to attach a grade to something that would force them to use like any kind of platform that might share their information. Not that I don't worry about it personally. I share my information all the time through those platforms, but I try to never associate, tag grades onto that. And the crazy thing is, students still do it all the time. In fact, they will spend more time playing with those things than the actual homework they should be doing.
Couple more questions we got here as well. And one is, how did you decide which tools to use sometimes it might seem overwhelming with so many options.
Well, I am like a conference junkie. And so especially during COVID and stuff, I go to conferences all the time, as many as I can. Every time I go to one, I'm like, oh my God, that's the best idea. So I'll steal it. And so I change what I use. Like every month I have a new idea, which, you know, some people don't have the energy or desire to be that way. So I just play around and talk to different people and see what they like. And also ask my students. By now, most of your students have probably used a lot of these things if they've been taking classes for the last year online. And that's what I ask them. What do you like? Or the better question is, what do you never want to see again? You know, so I'll be like, okay, we're not using that anymore. Like for whatever reason, I don't know if the way my university used them, and this is nothing against, well, I won't even say, but there's one certain thing that our university used a lot with students, and they're like, nope, we don't want to use that anymore. And so I'm like, okay, so I found an alternative, but.
That's exciting. That's awesome. And another question I see, and I know you mentioned you use email a lot of times, but someone mentioned in your LMS, do you connect to your Google slide via URL?
Yes. Yes is the short answer, yes.
Perfect. And then someone just mentioned real quick about the file that you posted in the chat. It looks like it might be a view only file. And it says they can't access the presentation unless we ask for permission. I'm gonna try it too on my end just so I see.
Okay.
Looks like.
What? Well,
I can view all the power or all the slides.
can you click on the links, or do they?
I'm gonna try and click on a link real quick. Let's see. I get like a square around the different links. It's not taking.
Try like the last or the second to last page maybe, and click on one of those circles. Tell me what you see.
Okay, like remove backgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, actually that one worked. It just the link pops up and it opens up in a new tab. So that one worked.
Okay. Okay. Might be good to. Yeah, and I will make it. What I did before when I gave a presentation for Hawks is not only do they have the recording, but then they also have. I share my slideshow with them, and they have a way to send it or for you guys to access it as well. If that didn't work.
And someone else actually chimed in. This might be helpful for everyone else accessing this. It sounds like if you go into the present mode, you should be able to go directly to the link. So I think that should help people out as well. So.
Well, and also I'd love to hear from any of you guys. If you play with this and come up with something fun, I'd love to see what you're working on. Or if you have any great ideas, what's worked for you guys, that's really, I'm more interested in that than what works for me. But
and with that being said, I know we're running out of time right here. And I know a lot of great feedback from everyone. This is a great presentation for sure. People are engaged and loving it.
I'm so sorry about my mouth. Like I'm.
Don't worry about that. I'm gonna have a couple closing thoughts, but just as a quickly for everyone here, I'm going to release a poll real quick just to get your feedback on the presentation, everything going on today. So if you have a quick minute, shouldn't take you more than probably 30 seconds to kind of give us some feedback here. And I'm also going to post in the chat some links for some upcoming concurrent sessions that will begin around 4 o'clock today. So that poll is going now, if you guys don't mind. And I'm going to paste the chats in 1 second.
Thank you guys too so much.
Thank you so much, Becky. That was great. We really appreciate it. Oops. Sorry guys, let me post the posted it. I'll keep the poll open for another minute or so, just in case anyone has anything. But if you guys are looking for something to do in between the next concurrent meeting, definitely don't hesitate to go to the conference website and swing by the exhibit hall to say hi to someone on our Hawks team. If you view a quick 5-minute demonstration, you'll be entered to win one of our hourly giveaways of your choice of a smart pen, standing desk, or an Amazon gift card. So hopefully we'll see you all at our next session as well. Thank you again, Becky. That was great.